I think we tend to talk about digital video. Digital lost quite a bit of meaning, as I think can all agree. We talk about it in terms of how it's allowed us to shift context. We can time shift, we can place shift, we can device shift, but there's a lot less conversation, in my experience, paid to the types of interactivity that are now possible. And I look at that really as sort of the fourth dimension, right? It's incredible that I could lie in my bed in the afternoon, say 3:42 p.m., with the Hulu app watching an episode of Seinfeld on an iPad. Like, that in and of itself is incredible. The time is shifted, the device, place, whatever it might be, but it's still an episode of Seinfeld. It's exactly as it was filmed. So that's all wonderful, but it's not illustrating necessarily what some of the possibilities are. So the IAB folks asked me to come up and talk about a piece of work that Big Spaceship did. Big Spaceship is my agency. We're a 100-person agency with offices in Dumbo, Brooklyn, and South Korea and Seoul. And we just basically make cool shit for big brands. That's my selling pitch. I should probably work on a better one. So how do we kind of dimensionalize from the innovations in distribution, in deployment, in context of linear video, and bring the idea of interactivity in? And what can we do to take linear video, traditional video, and make it natively interactive? And that was really the challenge in front of us when we made our work with Ken Burns, which was obviously a tremendous honor and labor of love. Ken is a genius. So past is present is sort of the overarching theme of this, this work. And he came to us saying, I know that there's more that I can do with this content. And you have this quote here, he wants to honor new media. What he was really saying was this incredibly brave thing. I mean, this is a filmmaker who's made the sort of the critical mass of linear film. He's done 16-hour deep dives into all the different themes that he's covered, whether it's baseball, prohibition, the Civil War. He has country music coming up, which I'm really looking forward to. And he basically was saying, well, what can we do to tear this all apart and put it back together again? And that all comes from a belief, a fundamental belief he has, that there's no such thing as history, which is a pretty profound thing for a historian to say. He calls it the warp and woof of time, which is a weaving metaphor, that basically all things are just themes that keep emerging again and again. And he wanted to capture that. And to do that, he let us take all of that work and chop it up into 1 million pieces and let us reconstruct it in a way that was native to the iPad, because that was our chosen deployment form. And what we were trying to do is really to create new stories out of existing stories. We worked on different themes that we could cut across, like race, innovation, hard times, art, that would cut across all of his films. But we needed to do it in an incredibly delicate way, in a way that was native. Now, I should caveat this, that this isn't advertising, and Ken isn't a brand in any normal sense of the word. So I'm not representing this as a solution to what ails you in video advertising by any stretch. But hopefully it's illustrative of the kind of thinking that goes into taking that linear content and making it natively interactive. Bless you. And Tal really helped set up a lot of this for me, as well as the bless yous. Was that you that sneezed before? Are you a plant? No? All right, forget it. Sorry to put you on the spot. So you know Ken from these epic films. He's got some smaller ones as well. He's done ones on Frank Lloyd Wright, on the Brooklyn Bridge, which I highly recommend. And he gave us this radical opportunity to take this work and deconstruct it and reconstruct it again. I imagine many of you know the stories of great filmmakers who wouldn't let you do that in 1,000 years. Too precious is their work and how they've constructed it. So what we created, you'll see a little bit of the animation here. We took his work and worked with him to pull clips from all of his body of work, all of his films. They're color-coded, you can kind of see there on the side, into different themes. And what we wanted to create was a system that could exist for the broadest possible audience, because the audience for this was literally young children who are just emerging into studying American history, all the way up to my 82-year-old dad, who watches 16 hours of documentary but might actually want to do this another way. So we needed to create a system that felt very native to the content and also native to the person who might be interacting with it. So we created a system of kind of rewards of interaction. So if you jump ahead here, you could just very easily on this timeline of clips, tap an individual clip, zoom into a broader view, or watch an individual, one of the individual clips. You could also, though you didn't have to, drag and discover more content, more context around that content. None of it was required, but we set it upon ourselves to provide no dead ends whatsoever to the content. Any interaction you could come up with, you would get feedback. So there was the opportunity to learn the interface, even as you're learning the connections with the content itself. And also that you could see the content on a granular level. So you could watch each individual clip with a little bit of context provided for it. But you could also watch these themes. And what you have here are the themes running along the top: art, hard times, innovation, politics, race, and war. We're looking at the art theme. We worked with Ken to construct playlists, which is basically what they are, for each theme, and we tried to keep them to the length of about a television episode. I think there's about 3.5 hours worth of content overall in the app, and more to come. And we also wanted to create more context with content for the content. So we had him, he decamped to his place in New Hampshire, filmed intros to each of the playlists, and then commentary on some of the individual clips to put them in even further content. But you can also jump off, and this is to pay respects to all the traditional linear film, you could also jump off and see from which film each of these clips came. So I can view the clips in the timeline through baseball, or I can view it thematically through innovation, vice versa. And then I can jump out to Netflix or iTunes or whatever to watch the films themselves. Obviously, there's a little bit of kissing the ring involved in that, but also it's not to the exclusion of the original intended way of viewing the film.